All right, well, Casey here, where I'm teaching you Webflow and web design one video at a time on YouTube. And today we are going to build a sticky nav bar together. And we're going to take it one step further. We're going to leverage the power of Webflow interactions, and we're going to create a nav bar that will hide and show as we scroll up and down the page. So let's jump to the computer and check things out. All right, well, here we are in the computer, and this is my agency website. And what I want to do is I want to make this nav bar sticky. So right now when I scroll up, the nav bar disappears. And having a sticky nav bar can really provide a better user experience, especially for people who are wanting to navigate around your website, and it can encourage them to navigate to other pages. Now, one of the things a sticky nav bar can do, especially on smaller screens, is it can get in the way a little bit. In order to alleviate that, I'm going to use the power of interactions to hide that nav bar when people are scrolling down the page so they can see the entire page just like they would right here. But whenever they want to navigate to another page on my website, as soon as they scroll up, they don't have to scroll all the way up to the top of the page. The nav bar is going to appear, and it's going to be right there. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to make our nav bar sticky. So I'm assuming that you already have a nav bar on your website. And if you do, and if you're using a component-based nav bar, which is exactly what you should be doing, so that way you don't have to copy and paste and recreate this nav bar on every single page of your website. You create the nav bar once, you create a component, and then you put that on all the pages of your website. So that way when you update anything on one page within that component, it is going to update. So I'm assuming that that's where you're at. We're going to click into our component, and with our nav bar selected, we are going to go down to the position portion of our style bar over here, and all we're going to do is three things. You're going to select position sticky. Now this does not create a sticky nav bar immediately. The next thing that you have to do after that is you have to put a property on the top margin. And so we're going to edit this, and we're just going to keep it at 0 for right now. Now, as you can see, my nav bar is sticking with me as I scroll down the screen. So boom, already got a sticky nav bar in place. The third thing that we need to do is we want to set a z-index. I'm going to go ahead and set the z-index at like 999. That way, in case there's something else on the page that has a z-index set on it, the nav bar is always going to be on top of that. Now, of course, if I set another z-index on the page at like 1,000, then the nav bar is going to go underneath that as I scroll. But I don't really have anything on my website set at that point. So just keep in mind the z-index of the nav bar has to be the highest z-index that you have. So I'm going to go ahead and set mine to 999. All right, now as we scroll down the page, we should have our nav bar. It should stick. Nothing else has a higher z-index, so it is always going to be over top of all of those other items. Great. We have our nav bar. We have it sticky. It's staying with us as we scroll down the website. Now I want to take it a step further, and I want to get rid of that nav bar whenever I scroll down the page. So we're going to go back into our component. We're going to head over here to our interactions. We're going to choose a page trigger interaction. And in this particular case, I am going to choose page scrolled. And when scrolled up, we're going to set that first. So we're going to start a new animation here. We're going to add one in, and we're going to say nav bar down. And I'm going to show you why. We're going to title it that in a moment. And so at this point, with our nav bar here, we're going to choose move, and we are simply going to set this to 0. We're going to make this a percentage base, 0%, and we're going to set some easing. Okay, now we're going to move down here, and this is where our scroll bar, when scrolled down, we're going to start a new animation, and we're going to title this NavBar Up. Now, here's the reason why I'm entitling it NavBar Down and NavBar Up in this particular way. Whenever we scroll down, meaning that this scroll bar right here is coming down the page, our NavBar is going to move up. When we scroll our scroll bar back up the page, our NavBar is going to move down. So they're a little bit reversed. And all we have to do to create this is click on our NavBar again. You notice I have the NavBar targeted. And I'm going to say negative 100%. I'm going to set some easing on that. Add an ease. We're going to try 0.5 duration at this point and see, what happens. We'll save that. All right. So at this point, remember, here's what we have. When we scroll up, our NavBar is going to move down. When we scroll down the page, our NavBar is going to move up. So let's try this interaction out and let's see how it works. So as we scroll up the page, our NavBar moves out of view. And then as soon as we scroll down the page, our NavBar comes right back in view. And that's exactly what we wanted to have happen. All right, so that's how you create a sticky NavBar in Webflow, one that's going to stay with you as you scroll down the page, but also how we leverage the power of interactions to move that NavBar out of the way so that you can see the page in all of its glory, but as soon as somebody wants to navigate somewhere else, all they have to do is scroll up just a little bit and it floats right back down into place. If you found this helpful, would you smash that like button? If you want more tutorials like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you have a tutorial that you want me to create, leave it down in the comments. I would love to try to create that for you. I hope to see you on the next video.